Hello, and welcome to the audio version of articles and ideas from healingtoolbox.org, tools for energy detectives and those on a hero's journey of self-healing. I'm health intuitive Bruce Dixon, author of 22 books in best practices for energy medicine. If you wish an initial gift session with me by phone or Skype, we can do that. Today's article is Why We Pick the Mates We Do, Our Unconscious Matchmaker. What part of us leads us to repeat unresolved dysfunctional intimacies? Anne Teachworth has a book, Why We Pick the Mates We Do. She also has YouTube videos explaining how to use her book's self-assessment form. The videos are basically required to use this form. Her system offers deep insight into our unconscious patterns for those looking to correct this. These patterns are in part genetic patterns, but it's useful here to view genetic disturbances as simply one category of unconscious disturbances, or unresolved unconscious patterns. Healing of patterns at this depth is primarily achieved by willingness to heal, conscious choice, understanding and acceptance, and forgiving yourself. Where does my unconscious matchmaker come from? Our first 3 years of life. We are trained to ignore and discount the reality of our own early experiences, birth to age 3 in later life. Language and thinking have yet to get in the way between birth and age 3. The very young child is most alive emotionally. Emotions are where its powerful experiences are, good, bad, and neutral. Feeling, kinesthetic, and sensory experiences are paramount. That's all infants have to work with. No mind yet, almost no language. Therefore, our early feeling sensory experiences are many times more powerful than any later rational experiences after puberty. Conscious waking self likes to forget our earliest experiences and habits can be a driving force in some areas of our life. Why? Because conscious waking self has almost no direct control over our unconscious drives. If I ask you, what is your memory of greatest intimacy in your life? It's a trick question. Unless you can remember back to age birth 1, 2, 3, and few can, you generally won't be able to recall your peak highs or lows in relationship. Our later memories of relationship, wins and losses as teens, etc., overlay our earlier memories. They are more cognitive, we understand them better than our pre-verbal memories, right? Our post-verbal memories of successful intimacy in marriage are more superficial and overlay a deeper operating system for intimacy and marriage active in our unconscious. To our child within, our unconscious matchmaker, who we were birth to age 3, the love we felt, or the loneliness and neglect we felt, are many times more powerful and influential than loves and losses later in life. Our emotional goods and bads will never be stronger or more powerful than in our first 3 years. Our mind has not yet arrived to get in the way of what we felt. Relationships with adult caregivers are many times more powerful than any relationships later in life, strange as this sounds. After puberty, a thick blanket of language and thinking is thrown over our early, primal, emotional life relationships. This is why in Healing Toolbox we talk so much about the habit body. It's estimated by a couple psychologists I've heard that we learn 95% of all our habits in our first 3 years of life. And if you think about it, this makes sense. We definitely learn about what's safe and unsafe to do, and what we can trust and not trust. We learn more about those things birth to age 3 than at any later time. We acknowledge the big influence our infancy has on our later life only in speech accents. Ways of saying words we learned as a child before age 3 are quite difficult to become aware of and change. These are so deep, a speech coach is required to change a British accent to an American accent or vice versa, as any actor can tell you. What is your accent when it comes to dating and looking for a marriage partner? The subconscious and unconscious world we lived in between birth and age 3 was focused on adult caregivers. As infants, we got most of our needs met through adults. Not until around age 5 were we autonomous enough to separate from mother and go to kindergarten. Let's play house. The very young child does not have many relationships to work with or compare to. Its relationships begin and end with mom and dad. How mom and dad do and do not get along is a matter of physical survival to us. This is by design. What was working between mom and dad was joy for us. What was disturbed between mom and dad was hell for us. Later in life, our child within remembers the goods and feels early unmet needs as still active and unresolved. It's challenging for all of us, myself included, to pick partners based on who is beneficial for me now. Mostly we are picking partners who re-stimulate our wins, losses, and roles we saw acted out when mommy and daddy were playing house. Anne Teachworth suggests each of us unconsciously reinvent our early family pattern of belonging, no matter how dysfunctional. Why? Because our unconscious matchmaker holds our strongest feelings of belonging and rejection, even if conscious self has forgotten them. Anne's counseling program facilitates resolutions to intimate relationship problems between couples. Part of this is done by family archaeology, uncovering transgenerational patterns. This is her approach to couples and parenting therapy. Anne's ideas are closely related to transactional analysis, especially to scripts people live, which Anne has a strong background in. Anne has a strong background in Gestalt and NLP, and has taught together with Richard Bandler on relationship issues. You may say, I was raised as an orphan in an orphanage. And then we might say, think experiences with caregivers. What were they? Good and bad, between birth and age 3. That's what your unconscious matchmaker remembers. After age 3, we will never have more powerful experiences of being cared for and loved, nor of being neglected. Nor will we have stronger experiences of how adult men and women get along and don't get along. When later as adults we wish to marry, no other internal reference point or later reference points for intimacy can ever be stronger than what happened to us between birth and 3. All other newer learning about intimacy and compatibility from the neck up can't match the intense, nonverbal, archetypal experiences we had before most language developed. Archetypes perceived by us between birth and 3 can't easily be replaced by weaker, lesser impressions. When, as an adult, we look for a partner, left unmonitored, our unconscious matchmaker wants to reproduce the intense feelings of safety and intimacy it had as an infant, or its intense experiences of neglect and abandonment, so they can be addressed and resolved. Like it or not, that's our unconscious matchmaker at work. What I want in a spouse becomes in the unconscious, I want to reproduce and feel again the intimacy and belonging I felt when I was young. What we need then is a partner who will play one of the two roles of mommy or daddy, while I play the other role of mommy or daddy. Then we recreate the possibility of feeling what we felt back then. This is our unconscious matchmaker at work. So who's in charge? You or it? Our unconscious is willing to play house with any partner who will play the other role, whether we play the male or the female. This behavior is visible in preschool and kindergarten in how 4 and 5-year-olds play house together. 2 boys may play mommy and daddy. 2 girls may play mommy and daddy. Boys may play mommy. Girls may play daddy. This is how it is in our unconscious. These patterns are overlaid by later experiences, yet can remain very active when we go to choose mates and date. Why do I keep marrying the same person? Anne offers much insight into the commonly observed pattern of the same man or woman in multiple marriages choosing the same partner over and over again. She modifies this to say, our unconscious wants to play either one of the 2 parental roles we learn birth to 3. It thinks 2. The suggestion is our early unconscious absorbs habits, behaviors, roles, and patterns equally from both parental roles, no matter how dysfunctional one or both would be now in the light of day. Anne's counseling method for this is described in depth in her book, Why We Pick the Mates We Do, now in its 7th edition, revised 2007. Counseling sessions focus on uncovery of the early parent roles by way of guided self-analysis. The role is realigning unconscious memories of parental relationships demonstrated by each partner's actual parents when we were young. Now you ask, what about my grandparents' relationships? Right. Anne is also aware of the impact our grandparents' relationships can have on us now, even if we never met them. Going just a little beyond Anne, we can say not only do we pick the parents we wish to learn from, we also pick the grandparents and ancestors we wish to learn from. Not only are mommy's and daddy's relationship styles and habits imprinted on our unconscious, this is talked about as genetics, but it's more habits, though both are true. It's also possible and observable to find mommy-daddy habits of earlier generations imprinted on ourselves and on clients. This wisdom today is most active in family constellation work and also in health intuition work and other medical intuitive sessions. Anne's psychogenetics theory references and incorporates several complex, now academic, psychological jargons, such as hidden introjected interactional patterns. These don't appear to be essential to the thrust and to the healing that her book offers. Anne's book makes all the above more clear. About halfway through the book is a complex paper form permitting deeper, more detailed self-healing. Neither I nor a friend could figure out how to do this form from reading the book. Fortunately, Anne has 5 videos from a class where she explains how to fill out the form so you can gain the most benefit from it. And this URL is in the notes as well. The videos are a relaxed, precise walkthrough of how to use the pencil and paper exercise from the book. The instructions are 100 times more clear than in the book itself. To learn more, while much else from Gestalt and transactional analysis has been subsumed into NLP, muscle testing, and self-connection topics, this legacy of early Gestalt and TA activity has not dated nor been duplicated anywhere else to my knowledge. So I do recommend Anne's book. So that ends our article for today. If you'd like an individual initial gift session with me by phone or Skype, we can do that. Go to healingtoolbox.org, click the picture of me, and get to my phone and Skype number. The Skype is Self-Healing Coach, all one word. I'll see you in the next article.